All right, what's up, everyone? I'm on my second page of Moonstone and Onyx, and I'm still doing pretty well. I have to reorder some of these layers, but let me show you where it is so far. So you probably saw the first page, and there it is. And it's 3 panels there and 3 panels here. It's kind of the opposite. This one had a big panel and then 2 medium-sized panels, and this one now has 2 medium-sized panels and a big panel. So this is getting us started out where the aliens have warped in, and we find out what their plan is. This war robot should be brought back for study. Of course, Onyx is not really a war robot. He is a true sentient being inside a robot body. That's his origin, but we'll find out more about that as this goes on. Let me widen out my stance a little bit. There we go. I'm trying to get thicker outlines lately. I've been looking at a lot of Chick Stone, who was an inker in the 60s and the 70s, mostly the 60s, and really impressed with his use of outlines. And he did not just superheroes, he also did some comedy comics. There we go, he's got a big head. Let's go ahead and do that. But what I really loved about Chick Stone is his outlines. His outlines were so bold, especially on the splash pages. Very iconic looking. And I want to get some of that power, that 60s look in my comics, because I think it's just a classic look. Okay. Now I kind of know a little bit better what my design is for these characters. If you watch the video I did for yesterday where it was going, it's if you want to watch it, it's pretty short because I took, there's no audio and I just sped it up. There's just some music playing. But I was kind of coming up with the design on the fly of how I wanted to draw these aliens. I wanted them to look obviously alien, and that's the big head, and obviously futuristic, and that's their uniform, of course. And once I settled on a design, I was pretty happy with it. I'm doing these sort of blackout ink areas. Okay, these 2 aliens, who I haven't named yet, have been on a mission to acquire Earth technology. They were initially drawn to, we're going to find this out in the backstory, Moonstone's various technological experiments. And then suddenly they see Onyx and they go, hey, this will be perfect. We can bring this guy back. And so they do. Now I've got to do, there we go. This is kind of a pretty classic shot, the head-on gunfighter shot. And this is our weapon right here. We're seeing it from the front. almost want to put a little trigger guard. Just kind of draw one in. I'm also designing the weapon. So I guess I could put the trigger guard up here. Things like weapons, technology, you really kind of want to get your straight lines out. So if you're on regular stuff, use a ruler. I'm trying to use the rulers that are built into Procreate. I'm not doing a great job of it, so let's see how we can fix it. I don't know, it's kind of working. Okay. And make sure that we've got our hatching in so that it gives him a 3D look. He's got these kind of mottled texture on his head. And then, hang on. And they have these sort of lumpy suits. Make my eraser just a little bit bigger. There we go. Like that. Okay. I was looking at a friend of mine's art, and he's a guy who wants to draw comics, but he's still like, he's very much involved in like, I've got to draw great figure designs, and they have to be very tightly posed. I'm trying to figure out how to explain what storytelling is in this situation, because these are not really dynamic poses when you look at them, but they tell the story, right? They can see these two guys are talking. His mouth is open when speech is coming out. This guy is obviously pointing some kind of weapon or device. It's actually a teleporting pistol. We're going to call it a dimensional disruptor. I can do figure drawing. I've done figure drawing. And I know that figure drawing is all about what modern comics are. Characters in these, kind of cool poses. Have you ever seen Deadpool when he does that thing where he talks about the superhero landing pose is really tough on your ankles? They all land like in the superhero landing pose, right? They all do the the cool pose, and all of these poses are recreated perfectly in photo packs that you can get. I know I've said this a million times. Okay, and this has like a 3/4 thing going on here. But there's no storytelling to it, usually. And I was just looking at, there was a Gotcha Man Science Force if you're familiar with G-Force, that's what Gatchaman is. And I really like G-Force. I really like Gatchaman, right? Science ninjas. So I looked at the comic. I actually picked it up off the shelf and took a look through it. And it's 100% just the traced figure drawings right out of a photo pack. The character is obviously meant to be talking. There's dialogue bubbles, mouth is closed. You know, he's not even looking at the character he's supposed to be talking to. And I think that's bad. I think that's a tremendous detriment. You know, my friend is, he drew a picture of Wonder Woman and Batman and Superman, and they're flying through the air. He's like, I gotta learn this thing because I want to do comics. And, you know, he goes, and the art is not as important as the storytelling. It's like, well, which is true. The problem is, there's no storytelling in that picture either. 3 characters flying through the air says nothing. That's what goes on the cereal box, right? You think about the front of the cereal box. There's a character that's in a pose. He might be smiling. You might be displaying his powers, but nothing's happening. Like, there's no story that goes with it. And that's the issue, right? So you want to actually show the characters doing something. And hopefully it's something that's not boring, not just sitting in a chair, you know, posing for a portrait. They've got to be doing something. And that is not something you're going to find usually in one of those portrait packs. Like maybe you'll see the character firing an arrow or something like that. I see those all the time. Or swinging a sword. But I think you need to go further than that. Have the characters interacting. Talking to each other. Or emoting to each other. It's all about acting. I took that course with Ryan Benjamin. That was one of the most surprising things that he talked about, because it was really about art fixes. He was really showing us, you know, some sort of art fix stuff, which is very technical, you know, how to hatch, that kind of thing. But he said, you know, the most important thing is acting. You know, the way Batman enters a room is different from the way Superman enters a room. And it's not just the costume, and it's not just how you draw it. It's the pose is different, the attitude is different, the expression on the face is different. You know? So actually, this panel's fine. Where are we at as far as time? Oh, 14 minutes, that's probably good enough time. All right, we're gonna throw in some bubbles and we're gonna call it a video on this one, and then I'm gonna go in and this much larger panel at the bottom where we see Onyx getting blasted. It's gonna be a little bit longer, take a little bit more time. But we're on the bubbles layer. There's my technical pen is out. And I was talking about this yesterday, but I ended up making it, like I said, just kind of a speedrun video. But when you're doing your speech bubbles, people have even come on this channel and said, the way to do speech bubbles is you just draw an oval, you know, where is it? Bubbles. Just draw an oval and it makes a perfect oval. And that is how like all webcomics look. They just have this kind of perfect oval. They may even have a tool that does it, I think in Clip Studio Pro. That is not actually how comic book speech bubbles look though. I mean, maybe that's how they look now, I have no idea. Comic book speech bubbles need to be mounted to the sides of the panel most of the time. And then the shape of the speech bubble, it conforms to the oblong. It should be no more than 4. If you end up with 5, that's probably not the worst, but no more than 4 lines of dialogue. 4 stacks, you know, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if I can fill. Yeah, we're good. And same deal here. See, I've got 5 stacks here. This War Robot. I think I want War Robot all on the same line. See, this is a better way to do it, but I don't have enough room, so I could kind of shoot it outside of the thing a little bit. But I think it's perfect right there. All right, not exactly perfect, but it's fine. Okay. That's too thick. I'm hiding that line inside there. And we're going to throw a fill in there. Boom. There it goes. Erase all the extra lines. And add our tail. Okay. Now, what do we do about this background? He has no background. We could probably do a background. I could do an all black background. I could even do a focus line background, but I've already used focus lines pretty recently. So I'm gonna hold those in reserve. We could do a modified focus lines, maybe. Maybe some kind of shape behind his head there. Or we could just do the full black background. Let's do the shape first, and if we don't like it, we'll add the rest of the background in there. For my background, I've put it on a different layer. You can see I've got layer 7 here. We could just call this BG background. And then the same deal here. Almost want to use a different brush. Maybe this Pandani. No, that's too weak. Inca? I'm not sure it works. So instead, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and black it out. Throw in the stars. go back to the syrup. I think it's okay for comics to be a little bit messy. Almost like this sort of impending light on this side. What does that say? Like, what does that say about what's taking place inside the scene? Kind of like half focus lines. If you look at old Ditko comics, there was often kind of these sort of interesting yet inexplicable patterns that he would use as backgrounds just to shake things up a little bit. And I quite like those. I think those are cool too, and I'm not sure how to use them exactly. So I've always avoided it until I can maybe get guidance from a more senior artist who can tell me what's the best way to do this. I saw a really cool example with Francisco Ruiz, who had drawn like the Archies. And one of his ideas was, let's say you had a figure. He's walking. You could go borderless and you just put a shape behind him. Doesn't have to be a rectangle. Could be a diamond shape. You just throw a different color on there or something. I think that's a cool idea. And eventually I want to get to the point where I'm comfortable doing stuff like that. Not there yet, not there yet, nope. Well, I like the idea of doing some kind of emotion lines around here and do them in white. So let's put them in. Let's put them in this Baskerville. I don't know if I like the Baskerville. Studio pen, dry ink. Actually, I kind of like that. Let's try it one more time. There we go, pretty good. All right, there's our second panel, and please like, follow, subscribe. We will have more comics every day. We're gonna finish this page either tonight or tomorrow. It looks like it's a big panel, so it may take us till tomorrow. I might get started on it tonight though, just so that we don't have to spend a 30-minute or a 45-minute video putting this together. Please like, follow, and subscribe. We're gonna get this comic made. It's gonna be a very fun thing. And I look forward to building it with you. All right, talk to you later.